4 losses in a row. 4 episodes of profit or loss. I have not made a profit. I should rename the series Loss. Who are you and what are you talking about? I buy faulty electronic items from eBay or from viewers even, attempt to fix them and then sell them on for a profit. This glorious spreadsheet right here is called Sally's Spectacular Spreadsheet, where I log that information. Here are our recent 4 losses. And this is the £1,202 total profit we have out of our target of 2,000. Now, it could be a lot worse. We could be just in the red completely overall. Luckily, that isn't quite the situation just yet. And today, let me tell you, I am determined to turn this around. I'm not going 5 for 5 losses. It's not happening. I'm telling you right now, it's not happening. I really hope it's not happening. Let's look at today's first item on the bench. Well, I say let's go to the bench, but this is something a viewer has sold to me. If you're interested in selling me a faulty device, then feel free to use the link down below. I buy the devices, or if you want to take your chance at a free repair, there's a link for that down below too. This viewer had an eBay listing, removed it to hopefully sell to yourself for the content. If not, they're going to relist it. The fault is no power. No beeps, nothing. Repair has been attempted. This is a PlayStation 5 console. I bought it off the previous owner that it failed on. There was zero sign of any previous repair attempts, although the warranty sticker was voided and the previous owner had pushed the Wi-Fi antenna cables under the main board when cleaning, so the black one was cut. I was unable to identify any shorts, but F7003 fuse was blown. Replaced RT chip and fuse, but no change, still no power. PSU steady 12 volts connected to the motherboard. I have included the original RT chip in an ESD bag as shown in the pictures. I don't have any knowledge or equipment to properly diagnose, so selling on for someone to fix. I love these ones because not only do I get a chance to try and repair something and learn something myself, if I'm able to, then the person who sold me the device is able to learn through me as well, you know? So it's a win-win-win-win-win-win-win. The only thing we need on the series is a win. Now, I'm not going to be doing any testing with the console because, again, by the sounds of it, it doesn't have any chips on the, well, the RT chip specifically, that's not on the motherboard itself. So let me just take this off. Oh, we do have, so we have some screws here and we have the original RT chip that they've just labeled in the ESD bag. All right, fan housing fell off. Let's go ahead and start disassembling this console. However, before we do that, a huge thank you to today's video sponsor, PCBWay. PCBWay is your website for DIY. Get an instant quote on your PCBs at a low cost with fast delivery. New customers will also get a $5 welcome bonus. Fully customize your PCB with a few clicks, including the thickness of the board to the color of the solder mask. PCBWay also offers services in CNC machining, 3D printing, sheet metal fabrication, and also injection molding. Head on over to the gift store and grab yourself a multimeter or a soldering iron. PCBWay has it all. Thank you to PCBWay for sponsoring today's video. Now back to the repair. Oh, the wires underneath the chassis as well. So the wire to power the disk drive, the power cable should go around here and onto here, but it looks like it's been wedged underneath the board. That's not ideal, but it's okay. I should probably mention how much I've actually paid for this, right? I paid £140 for this PS5 console. Here we go. Oh, okay, so it's the front one that we need. That's okay. Yeah, I can sort that. I've got plenty of spares of these front antennas. And this cable, I hope this cable's going to be okay. Doesn't look like any of these are chopped up, and they obviously they're able to bend. So as long as the connector itself is okay, we're not going to have any issues. And that obviously just goes in there like that. So screw has been put back incorrectly down here. I don't know if they've done that just for the sake of shipping, but just as an FYI, should be able to lift out the disk drive now. The front cables look okay. This is indeed I think a 1000 series board, right? Yeah, a 1016A, which fun fact is alongside the first revision model that was released for the PS5. So this is an old boy. I'm sure it's got plenty of horror stories. One more. UART's not been done either, so I'm going to guess it was just a straight up no power, unless Nathan, the viewer, didn't have the tool specifically to be able to complete UART if it was a beep on beep off. I'm pretty sure it said no power on the listing though. This all looks pretty good. First glance, we don't seem to have any issues. I see a little scratch on the PCB just here, but the clamp itself has been put back together okay, which is really nice to see. None of the screws are stripped. I see a little bit of flux here, and I'm pretty sure the RT chip on the other side of the board is around about here. Let's get the multimeter on. We don't have that RT chip on, so I'm not even too sure we're going to get all our voltages. I think we're going to be missing the 5 volt, I want to say. But we're going to check and make sure, so I'll just plug it in. I'm not going to give it any power, as in push the power button. It can stay on standby. Let's just check and make sure we've got base voltages. Multimeter on the top right hand corner of your screen right now. Do we have 12 V? So I'm looking for 12 volts. Off the bat we do. Good. Do we have 5 volts here? We do. Do we have 3.3 volts here? We do. And then we're going to be missing a bunch of voltages around about, I'm going to assume where the SSD power management IC is, just down here, which is okay. That's about as far as I'm willing to go with that. So I think let's now just get down to business, take the board out and then inspect around that area, because I also want to see if there's been any chips that have been knocked or anything along those lines. Praying for just like something really straightforward and really simple. Bit of voltage injection, light up a cap for me, show me exactly where that is, and call it a day, please. Right, this has got the horrendous stuff on the underside as well, so it is the very first base model. I'm talking about this, by the way, this putty. Okay, board out. Let's put it on the desk. That's a big dry spot as well, by the way. Wow, wow, wow. I'm just noticing that on the die. Can you see we've got a big dry spot here? Don't like the look of that. Is what it is. Over to the microscope. Right, if I recall correctly, he said F7003. This is not the RT chip that he replaced, I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. I'm just going to check it on 3D. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Kind of looks like we have a couple of loose solder joints there. You see that? They're not massively connected very well. Okay, that side. It was just that one or two that I saw originally. Right, this side. That one right at the end. You see that one on the left? Let me see if I can get close up. Excuse the shaky hand. I'm free holding this. Can you see that first pin there on the left? That looks quite severely cracked. So, Nathan. Oh, I don't think that's the factory fuse there, by the way. It looks really bright. It's because of the way that my light is right there. There we go. That's a little bit less bright. But that looks a little bit big as well. Do we have a continuous path through this fuse? Yeah, we do. It's not shorted both sides, is it? No. Okay, so there's no short there. What about this fuse where the chip has been replaced before? Do we have a continuous path? We do. And again, I'm hoping it's just not shorted both sides, which is not. We don't have a short there necessarily. I'm just going to check around it now. Be good if you could see the multimeter. Let's check and see if I can find any other shorted components anywhere. Here, right here. What's this doing? This is all over the place. 300 ohms, 400. Maybe that's okay? Yeah, I think that's okay. Checking the other locations as well. Again, that's like 90, so it starts really low and then climbs. I don't like these issues. I really don't like these issues. I've seen this before. And it usually doesn't end very well. Is the chip on the right way? Yes, it is, because we have the arrow here to insinuate pin 1. And the circle on the chip is pin 1. Just checking to make sure that's not... Okay, that's all good. Is this one still low? No, that's climbed back up, so that's okay. So this does have the chip on. Maybe I just need to resolder around it. I also need to check the board for other shorts. Where's the other RT chip? Because there are two. One for the south bridge and one for the SSD controller. This is the one for the south bridge. Has that been changed? How does this one look? No, that one looks pretty factory, if I'm honest. Yeah, I don't think that one's been touched. Okay, this chip. Is that flux and stuff here? What's going on here? Oh, it might have just been reflection. I mean, that looks okay. Yeah, I think it was just reflection, because that's also all right. Okay, any shorts in this area? Because I see some flux here. So signs that, you know, somebody has previously potentially worked here. Any shorts? Again, just low ohms and climbing in resistance. Something potentially dragging something down, maybe? I don't know. There's a scratch here with the multimeter. So again, it would have been tested here. Quite a bit of flux here. You can see that on the board. So it didn't go up to the south bridge. Well, the back of it anyway. It's not the front of the south bridge, is it, Joey? Do we get 700 ohms, 800 ohms on this inductor? Yeah, we do. That's good. Let me check the center of the south bridge here. That's okay. That's okay as well. I'm really intrigued to see if this is actually connected, this fuse. Is it on the pads? I don't know. I can't tell. I'm going to just replace it anyway. I know it's got a continuous path. It might be the incorrect amount of amps, though, for a fuse. As far as I'm aware, and somebody can correct me if I'm completely and utterly wrong, the whole point of a fuse is for protection. And fuses can certainly have different values. Wait! Oh! Wait. That's not a fuse. This isn't a fuse. But it's been replaced with a fuse. You can see the T mark. So it says F7003. I should have noticed this. I should have noticed this sooner. But again, just a bit thrown off by, I guess, everything that's happened with this. This is the fuse. So F7003. This is the fuse itself. But they're saying they replaced this component here, and I think that's a resistor, or meant to be a resistor anyway. Well, I bet people are screaming at me in the comments. If I take this board, here we go. Here's the proper layout, and we have the resistor there, and we've got the fuse underneath just here. But no, in my luck, this is probably going to be just like a 0 ohm. Is it a 0 ohm? No, it's a 100K. Ooh. And then the back of that actually goes here to the SBV chip. So I hope nothing's been damaged, because it's essentially, I guess, I don't know what the exact voltage and measurements are going to be, but because this has been replaced with a fuse, the voltage from this pad, which would usually have 100K's worth of resistance to go to here or vice versa, now just goes straight through, zap. So that's going to be really interesting. Let's get that replaced first. Assuming, obviously, as well, that there was actually power given to this after this was changed, which I'm guessing there was. Let's take this fuse off. So if anybody's watching, wondering that, this is not the fuse. The fuse that this is talking about, F7003, is this one here. Just as an FYI. There we go, that's come off. And me, if I was in the same position as, Nathan, who said that he hasn't got the tools and experience and whatnot, I think the exact same thing, where you've got the writing F7003 and it's directly under a component. You would go ahead and just assume that this is the fuse without any experience, right? I definitely would. I bet that is a really common mistake, especially like in this situation on this console specifically. So this is a 100k resistor. Just taking it from a donor. Now on those pads, lovely jubbly. Oh, I wonder if that's all this needed. I mean, this would be a blessing in disguise, sent from the gods that I've received this. But as Nathan stated, it would have just gone on eBay's anyway. It would have been interesting. I should have measured diode mode on each side before, but it is what it is. Okay, now if I flip this over, yeah, the exact location this goes to is here. So I do wonder if this area has been messed with at all in terms of like cleaned or something because of how it looks. So what I'm going to do is blast it with 480 degrees Celsius, sorry, and I'm just going to go 99% airflow and give it a real quick clean. That's not going to change anything here, but sometimes I just like to give things a little bit of a clean when they look a bit fluxy. Oh, I can see a cap actually. See that cap there? That cap looks a little bit loose, so maybe we can use the leftover flux that's on the board to just reflow it quick. I don't know if it's on the pad or not. Give it a little bit of flux ourselves. Maybe look at giving it a tiny little tap. There we go. Oh, is it split? Oh, it's split. Ooh, so that could be another issue because that looks like the single cap on that line. I mean, we could have stuff elsewhere as well. Or maybe that's where the voltage goes from that resistor and it split the cap. Imagine that. Just sent a bit too much voltage into it. Is it bad? Yeah, look, that needs to come off. Okay, so let's get that replaced. Now, it's a really small area, this, so I'm just going to have to scrape that little cap away. There we go. And hopefully, I can get another cap to just sit in there without changing anything. And it's the second one down, isn't it? Yeah, it looks like it. Need to be extremely careful here because it's such a tiny, small component. I think that's on. Is it on? I believe so. Give it a little reflow. Should be okay. I'm going to say that's good. And now I can give this area a nice clean. It deserves a nice clean, that's for sure. There we go. Looks like it's taken a little bit of a beating from voltage or something. There we go. It looks a little bit better, I guess. As for that cap specifically, it looks to be on there A-OK. Quick diode reading. What do we get? 0.41. Cool. And this side ground? Oh, no. This side is 0.58. Rising. Wait there. 0.58, yeah. So yeah, I think quite an important cap then, in that case, considering it wasn't connected to ground. I don't know if that's how it works, but I'm going to guess. I think quickly do my due diligence. Oh, tough word to say. Tough word to say. And I'm just going to check the other fuses, right? Just to make sure in continuity mode that I get a continuous path through all of them, just to make sure everyone's going to live happily ever after. Heart went for a little bit. 003 down here. Again, I have checked this before, but cool. F7501 just here. All good. F3501 as well. Sweet. Okay. I think we're good to go. Oh, F7001. Where are you? You're okay. And I also need to show some love to this chip again, don't I? I'm going to take it off and to give it a reflow and just make sure it's sat down properly, I think. So actually the way that I'm going to do this, blast it off the board. Usually I wouldn't do this. I would just let the unleaded do the work. Unless maybe I can just reflow it. Can I just reflow it and give it a little tap down? Make sure we're all good. I had too much solder. There we go. See that? See that solder squeezage out the side? Now that chip is flat. So now what I do, just before we wrap up, I don't even have to take it off, I don't think, is come in with flux. And now the soldering iron. Run that along there, collect up that flux. Solder, sorry. And I think the rest are good. I don't need to worry about the rest. Little drop of IPA and a microfiber cloth. Whilst I'm here, very rarely now I use my toothbrush, but just so I can see around the sides. The reason I rarely use a toothbrush now is because I feel like it spreads flux more than the good that it actually does. But for this circumstance, I think it's going to be all right. There we go. Let's check it now. How do we look? Look at that. Nice. And it seems to be still not flat to the board, but a lot more flat than what it was. And again, just going to check all the corners, make sure we're okay. Oh, let's see. We're probably not. It might do, but I personally don't think that's good enough. That side's okay as well. And that side's really nice. That's where we ran the iron. But yeah, that's the term I would use. Is just not good enough for me personally. So let's take the chip off and I'll show you what I do to rectify this. Now it looks like Nathan has actually used leaded here because it's coming like it's off and on really, really easily. So I'll just come in. I'm just going to put a little bit of flux just around the chip. considering he doesn't have much experience from what I read in the form, he's done such a good job here with his soldering. Just a few additional pointers and you'll literally be the same as me, which, you know, I'm not great, but should just be able to fix this. Just running my iron over it with a nice big bit of solder on the end. Try and get those pads nice and puffy, especially over here where we had that shorter one. There we go. I'm actually just going to take up some of that flux, and now those pads are a bit fluffier, we should have a better connection with the chip. So I don't really like to mess with the unleaded on the board because it can cause some issues, and you can just use the unleaded, you know. Right, so I can see here, just from a little bit of inspection, that these pads still aren't taking that solder, and the rest are. So I'm going to just try and squeeze over in this corner of the chip. I just want to see if they're now failing that. Do you know what I'm going to do? Bit of flux. Just there. Thin iron. Bit of solder. Turn it around. And see if I can get a nice big blob of solder. Just there. There we go. Sometimes you have to, you know, almost dab. And I'll just come in, dry up that flux, and recenter that chip because it's not on perfectly. I just wanted to make sure I got those pads first before doing anything else. So I'll come back in with the hot air. Make sure I get it centered better. There we go. That looks nicer. And then we also have the bit at the top, if you can see, just up here. I'm just going to swipe that away. Little toothbrush because I need to be able to inspect all of those individually. Now I just want to make sure that those are connected. That's better. Yeah, there we go. So that they all look connected. That was a side that was dodgy at the start. There's probably one that could do with a little bit more solder. I'm not going to worry about that. It's connected. It's fine. Just whilst I'm here, check the four corners. That's all good. Four sides, sorry, should I say. Yeah, just a bit more of an angle. All good. Last but not least, all good. Nice one. Imagine if that's all that this one needs. I'll be so ridiculously happy and Sally will be blessed. Let's put it back in the chassis. See what happens. Right. Here we go. Please give me that good news. 4 losses. Are we going to see 5 losses? Or are we going to see a profit? 3, 2, 1. Still no power. I'm not going to lose my head with this one just yet because I've not necessarily done too much, you know, but I've checked for shorts. I can't find any shorts. That's my issue. I need to find where there is a short on this board. If I can find the short, I can inject voltage and I could probably work out exactly what's going on. But fact of the matter is, I can't find any shorts. I'm going to have to do some more digging, aren't I? Trying to keep this nice and simple. I still have my 12 volts. Yes, I still have my 5. Yes, I still have my 3.3. Yes, but around this I see I'm not going to be able to check, am I? Because a lot of that is power on voltage and I can't power the console on. Back under the scope. So I can't find any shorts on the board. Of course I can't find them anywhere like I thought, but I've wound it back up at this chip, which is, like I said, I think the chip where voltage has gone through where it shouldn't have. We had the fuse on the other side that wasn't meant to be a fuse, there was meant to be a 100k resistor. If I measure here, right, I get 0.36 holding steady. If I measure on the same location on a donor board that I've just taken that lovely cap from, I get, when it wants to register, I get 0.3 and that's steady as well. So it doesn't go up to 0.36. So there is a, you know, about a 0.600 voltage drop difference there, which is quite sufficient. And if we look at the state of this chip compared to the state of this chip, I just don't know if it's seen some things, you know? And because that's the only thing that I can really recognize at the moment, I'm pretty tempted to just go ahead and swap that chip out and just see if anything changes. Like I said, we don't have any shorts around the chip itself. I do keep getting some weird readings though around the board that just start from very low and then gradually work their way up, you know. There is this weird stuff around the chip, you know, and this doesn't look like flux. Like, what is that? Has this chip just gone bang or something? It's very strange. And that's after a clean, by the way, because I obviously sorted that cap out. Interesting. All right, coming in with the heat now. Cool, that's been changed. Soldering wise looks okay. Right, so I got 3.6 before, 0.36 in diode mode, which I believe it was on here. So what do we get now? You can't see because the multimeter is not on the screen. Now it is. What do we get just in this location? Oh, 3.2, 3.3 and climbing. Board might be a little bit hot. It's probably still going to be around about in the vicinity of that 6 mark, isn't it? Let's see if that's made any difference at all. I've just actually tested it with my power supply and it just hangs at 8 millivolts. When something hangs at 8 millivolts, usually it's not even getting past like the BIOS stage, you know? So I'm kind of thinking in the direction of a BIOS now because I can't find anything else quote unquote wrong with this board. It's a tough one. Again, shock. We ain't going to get an easy one. I have just seen this on the back of the APU, which is a little cap. I don't know what it looks like it's doing right now, but I think with a quick, yeah, it's free. So this cap was indeed just like that. In which case, I'm going to come through with some flux, move that cap over so I don't accidentally swallow it up somehow, but just with a bit of leaded, and get that back on. I don't think that's going to make a huge difference, if I'm honest with you, in the fact that we have no power, but I'm at the stage where I'll kind of try anything, you know? It's not sat properly still. Why don't you want to sit down? That's very strange. Is that a crack in the cap? Right. Oh no, maybe it's just flux. I kind of need to find that out. No, I think it is just flux. Either way, I'm going to replace it with another one. That's on there now. Not that I don't think it necessarily matters too much, but hey ho, you never know. I am just going to quickly look at this area behind the APU up close just to make sure we don't have any other issues, because I swear if this is a dead APU, it'll finish me. Component here missing? Yeah, there is. Okay, that's another component missing just here. Again, don't necessarily know how important this is, but I mean, it looks like it's on a single rail, you know? Cool. Another cap sorted. Just having a quick skim again, just to make sure that that's pretty much it. I don't know how much importance, you know, these smaller caps have, but they're meant to be on the board for a reason, right? So we never know. I've just tried it again and I get the same. I get 8 milliamps, so that hasn't made the slightest bit of difference. Back to the drawing board. I've just noticed something really. To me, it does look like, if I put some light on it as well, I mean, this area does look fluxy, and this is where the BIOS IC is, right? I don't know if they're factory joints or not. Whether somebody's touched this BIOS or not, I have no idea. Can't really make it out, but there is a lot of flux around here. And the IC that they were looking at and swapping out was this RT chip over here. So this is quite a bit further up the board compared to where all of this sort of flux is. You know, I'm trying to just get my like detective skills on, but you can see there's a bunch of flux around these caps here and a bunch of flux, more importantly, around the BIOS is what I'm seeing. I'm gonna check the BIOS just for peace of mind. 8 milliamps. I've had it before so many times, and I might have just been distracted by all of the other madness that's been happening with this board, you know? I should be able to get a good indication of if this has come off before with how easy it comes off, because if it comes off easy, that to me would insinuate that it has been off. Maybe this is something that the previous owner to Nathan ended up doing. It's not, no, I don't think it is BIOS related, to be honest. If that was leaded solder that they had replaced, it would have been sorted by now. Yeah, it took a while to come off. Just understand why there's flux here, you know? Also quick and check under the south bridge to make sure there's no flux under there, because if that touches the crystal, that can also sometimes be an issue. But no, it looks to be okay. Right, let's test the BIOS. I was in fact able to read the BIOS chip, which is good, so I can see the information and data on there. So what I'm doing now is just putting some leaded back on the board, and I've now got a digital BIOS. And the reason I've got a digital BIOS is just to test and see if it's the BIOS chip itself, or maybe the data is corrupt, or it might just be neither and I'm completely and utterly wasting my time. So we're going to see if this digital BIOS works. And if it does, I could test out the file from the other BIOS on this chip, perhaps. That's on there now. But yeah, I guess the fact that I can read it doesn't really bode well for the sake of this fix, because it kind of seems like everything is okay. Now I can quickly see if we get a different boot or something. I personally don't think it's going to work, because, I mean, what does the BIOS have to do with anything up here? I mean, is there a potential that the voltage came through and obviously went through to the BIOS, perhaps if it's on the same rail, but I'm not too sure of that information. So put it back in the chassis and give it a quick test. If there's a 1% chance that this actually does work, then perhaps we're not going to have access to the disk drive with this console. But I'd rather have a working digital console that has a disk drive than no working console at all. Obviously, there is still a profit to be made. Here we go. Plug in the power, standard crackle. I should put the clamp on regardless. 3, 2, 1. No. Oh my gosh. Please turn to a white light. Please turn to a white light. It's a white light. I could cry. I've not seen a white... It's back to a blue light. I think maybe just rebuilding database storage or something. I don't believe it. I don't have the emotion to celebrate. That's where I'm at with these last 4 episodes. It's been such a wild roller coaster and such long and in-depth detail fixes. I've just taken a massive punt there on the basis of the draw that I got from when I'm putting power into the board at 8 milliamps, connecting the dots and thinking that is something to do with the BIOS. It's not getting past that boot stage. I don't know. I have no, maybe that was what was wrong to start with, and then everything else went down this like different holes, you know, and people were going on different paths and stuff. Maybe it was the BIOS the whole time. And please tell me I get a display. Show me HDMI 1. Yes. Lock yourself in. Oh, let's go. Okay. Cool. Now the important thing, I'm actually going to put a couple of things back with the fan to see if I am able to get the disk drive working without swapping the BIOS chip back to the original read file. Done it once before, and again, I don't know if this is an issue that Sony have fixed or something, but I'm going to try it again. If not, I'll try my hardest to read the data on the previous BIOS and we'll go from there, but I'm really hoping this disk drive works. You're going to be on my phone audio, but apologies about the mic quality. You can see I can't reset the console. It's got 12064-3. And that keeps happening. I've even put in an SSD now to a completely factory reset, but it's just not having it. And I think it's going to be because of the disk drive. So what I'm going to try and do now is actually take that BIOS off and put the original BIOS data on that BIOS chip and then see if it's because of the disk drive. I've Googled that error code and it comes up with like some nonsense about clearing the cache database and stuff. So I'm going to guess it's related to the disk drive and the BIOS chip. Let's find out. Right, I've copied the original BIOS data that we had from this console onto a new chip. So the old BIOS for this console is here, the actual chip itself. I really hope the data isn't corrupt. If the data is corrupt, this is now not going to turn on, and I'm worried about that. So before I do anything, I need to make sure that I still get power to this device and that it turns on. If I see a blue light here, it's really happy days because I've got all the original BIOS information on another BIOS. Here we go, 3, 2, 1. The data is corrupt. The data is corrupt. And I tried putting a 010 digital on here and I can't reset the console. So I can't just play it as a digital either because it won't reset. If I could have just reset it, maybe if I unplug the disk drive, that might work. So I can try that. But I'm going to try another 010 digital edition BIOS file that I have and see if I can use that to get it to work with the disk drive. This is the fiddly part of this job. Okay, so I've adjusted the serial number. What I've actually done is put a disk edition BIOS on, and hopefully that's going to work with the settings that are original for this console. So the serial number, etc. Everything is for this console just to get it back up and running. 3, 2, 1. Cool. Okay, let's see if we are able to reinstall the PS5 system software this time. It's just turned off. Why did it turn off? Let me go into save mode. Okay, cool. Okay, so I did have some errors, but then I cleared the cache in the database and then I went to reinstall it again. It actually went past because it did come up saying reset PS5 issue, but since then it's now actually installing the file, so fingers crossed. I'm going to try and explain this the best I can. So you'd think looking at this screen that everything was okay with the PS5, but I'm sure there's meant to be a background behind where it says about pressing the PS5 button on your controller. And if I press the PS5 button on my controller, there's still no background. Like, why is there no background? It's just like, this is the menu, but it's just no background. I'm so confused about that. I've already tried to reset the console again, just confirm it's not a software issue, and it's not. I've also, again, cleared the cache and done those little things. It does say new backgrounds available. Oh, okay. Well, maybe it's okay now. Strange. Like, I'm sure there should be animation there. I'm sure there should be animation there. And there wasn't, just a black screen. I'm gonna have to do some further testing on this, see if I can actually play games and whatnot. Good news being that the disk drive actually works and God of War is here installing. However, where's God of War, like the images and stuff behind it? I've got a horrible feeling about this. I really do. The reason I'm saying I've got a horrible feeling about it is because of the caps that were missing on the back of the APU. The APU is the CPU and the GPU combined. What about if, you know, more damage has been done to that and the GPU itself is cooked? Got a funny feeling about this. Okay, God of War's been installed. I've just disabled HDCP and I can play the game fine. No graphical glitches from what I can tell pretty much off the bat. I then went on to play pretty much throughout the whole introduction of the game without any lag, any issues whatsoever. And I thought, wait a minute, let me double test this and give it the grapes with some Fortnite. And Fortnite seemed to be, again, absolutely fine. So it doesn't seem to be any graphical issues. Like, there's no buttons that appear to be missing, things showing up, like all the shadows, everything looks fine. It's just on that main menu. Well, as you see from that, I mean, everything works except for this weird background issue. I'm actually selling this PS5 to a friend as well, so if anything does go wrong with it, it'll be relatively easy to give the money back, or even just take the console, investigate, and if I can't get it working, send the money back to him. This video might be a few weeks in advance, so by the time this video actually goes live, if you look at the pinned comment, I should be able to leave you an update to let you know if it's good or bad. I think we're all good. I've changed out the antennas as well at the front, and the controller works from all the way in the other room. I've tested 4K, and 4K seems to be no issue at all as well. So I'd say now it's about time to go over to Sally's Spectacular spreadsheet and work out our profit. It feels so good saying that. Here we go, episode number 42. PS5 disc, cost £140, parts nothing. Sale price is going to be £230 straight up, which gives us a nice cushy profit in today's episode of £90. 90 actual. I'm going to say all in all about 2 hours for this one as well. £45 an hour, lovely jubbly. Scores on the doors then. We are updated to £1,292.47 out of a target of £2,000. Just over £700 to go. Thank you for watching, and you may have noticed this little beautiful shark that my daughter has made me. Hope you have a good rest of your weekend. As always, I shall see you in the next one. Peace. Let's go.